Hey, Oklahoma City. This is Ray Salsa with Annabel, Valencia.
Hello.
And we are excited to be back. We're here today for our next podcast. And we have really excited to talk about what's going on. But we have news. Of course, the biggest news I want to share with you is in 10 days.
In 10 days.
In 10 days. In 10 days, something significant is about to happen. And this lady's going to be my wife.
Yeah.
I will forever introduce her as my ex-fiance. And so in 10 days, we're getting married here at the same studio that we met in, International Dance Studio here in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and by the time they listen to this, we'll probably already be married.
We'll probably already be married.
But yeah.
And then the humor and joy stops. No, I hope not. I hope not. But I'm excited to marry this woman. We're going to go and have fun. And no, we're not having children. Anybody asks, we're done. I'm done. No
Ray
more.
has 4 children. I have 3.
Yes. No mas. Ne plus pour moi. Okay. Well, let's go and get to our big event. We are excited to introduce our next speaker, our next guest. He's going to actually be coming to Oklahoma City. And he's coming to Oklahoma City to teach. Let's see if I can pull the information up real quick. I've already moved it.
Yeah, he's going to be here in July 21st and 22nd.
22nd for a Salsa Bachata Weekender at 360 Entertainment Powerhouse. We'll be there with our friends at 360, another studio here in town. If you want more information about this event, go to salsabachataworkshop.com. You can sign up on Eventbrite. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we say anything more, I want you to know who's going to be teaching and who is the star, the headliner of this Salsa Bachata Summer Weekender in Oklahoma City. So, my dear, please enlighten us.
All right. So today for our guest, we have Bryant Ayala. He was born and raised in Hillsboro, Oregon. Growing up, Latin music and dance had always been a big part of his life. His parents owned a dance studio called Lines Dance Academy, and this is where he learned his first dance steps, and his passion for salsa and bachata grew from there. This newly lit fire pushed Bryant to travel throughout the world to train under various dance teachers to develop his style of Latin dance. It's taken him as far as Italy, Colombia, Spain, and Mexico to learn from the best instructors and bring that knowledge back to Hillsboro. After years of training, he took it a step further and he began competing. In his 3rd year of dancing, he found himself competing as a salsa soloist in various competitions like Euroson Mexico, Las Vegas Salsa Congress, World Latin Dance Cup in Miami, and he is now a 3-time world champion. After years of dedication and hard work, he's now a teacher and a co-director of Lines Dance Academy, where he teaches salsa and bachata and directs dance teams for competition and showcases. So here he is, Bryant Ayala. Hi, how are you?
How are you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Awesome, excited, and just proud to have you on board with us during this time. If you want more information about you, linesdanceacademy.com, right?
Yes, that's the place to check everything out. For if you're in town, Hillsboro, Oregon, check out Lions Dance Academy.
And I always encourage people and students, if they travel, find a dance school, a dance studio. It's either go to a dance studio and practice or go to a bar and drink when you're on a work trip. I always went to a dance studio and found some place to train. So there you go in Oregon.
So I want to kick it off with the first question.
Well, all right.
Yeah. I want to know, what was it like growing up in a dance studio? Or was it your parents that owned and ran it? Tell us about it. Tell us about that.
So my parents, they're our first teachers. It's actually me and my 2 brothers. We're actually a family of dancers. Both my brothers dance, and my parents, before we started dancing, actually were dancers as well. So what they did was they decided to dedicate themselves full time to dancing. When we were kids, we were probably around like 10 years old, and they decided, okay, we're going to dedicate ourselves to dancing. And then they opened up the studio, taught classes, and, we would like, okay, dancing is pretty cool. It's all right, but it's not something I want to do. But years went by. They would travel to all these congresses, LA Congress. We would tag along. So we would watch these shows, and we were like, once we saw the shows, or at least for me, once I saw the shows, I was like, whoa, what is this? This isn't just dancing. This is something more. This is like like you see the art and everything behind it, because now you're seeing these huge showcases on the stage that will, from what happened to be just seeing the socials, like the social side of it, was like, oh man, it's like a party, everybody's dancing, and then you see the difference of a showcase and you're like, no, that's, I want to do that. That's something I want to do. That's kind of like what inspired me to want to become more of a dancer. Even though I mean, love social dancing, but the thing that pushed me to become a dancer was the showcases that I saw when I was a kid, and I was like,
You're
wow.
bringing up a great little thing. There are multiple areas in the dance community or the dance profession. You can perform,
Oh yeah.
you can choreograph, you can teach, and whatever you're teaching, you get to teach social dancing or performance dancing. And not everybody can be good at all of it, but for community to grow, we need somebody doing all of it.
Oh
At
yeah.
least somebody somewhere. We need performers. For me, I'm not a big performer guy. I've done the performances, I've done some choreos enough to know I don't like it. You, it just makes you thrive. It motivated you. It's touched your soul.
Oh yeah.
So that's just, that's another example. We need these different people, and we need performers like yourself to come out and you did soloists. So there's a lot of styling.
Oh, oh yeah. When you're out there on the stage by yourself, it's, yeah, you gotta basically put on the show on your own.
That's
So
a
yeah, a lot
lot
of
of
style.
energy. You don't have
Yeah.
a partner to rely on. And in our case, we don't have, if you're a soloist, you don't have a sexy partner to rely on. So you've got to do
Well,
everything
you are
right.
you're the sexy
Oh,
centerpiece. See. So, and you were talking about all the different areas of dance, and one of them, which I forgot to mention in your intro, is judging. You've been doing some judging. I don't know how long you've been doing that, but tell us about that.
So I started judging around 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Um, and what I found really cool about judging is, what's it called, that you see, once you start, you sit down and really look at every choreography, you see a lot of the personality that people have, and the creativity that people have. And I think that's awesome to see, because sometimes when you're watching shows, you're not so, let's say, like, you're really looking for every single little thing. You're watching the feet, you're watching the styling, you're looking for the airs of the choreo, because you're just enjoying the whole choreo as a whole,
Right.
right? But when you're judging, you're really like focused, 100% focused on that one routine, looking at the hands, looking at the feet, that you start to notice that every single choreo has its own personality with the person that's dancing and the way they express it. And I think that that's really awesome to see as judging, because it you just see so much more in what the person is doing with the choreo.
where you see how they interpret the song.
Yes, exactly.
And you've heard that. You probably heard this song. You probably danced to this song. But then you're like, I never thought about hitting my feet to that part of the rhythm
Oh yeah.
or to that melody. They're
Hmm.
dancing to, and that's what some people, they focus, as dancers, instructors, we focus initially on the rhythm, on the the congas,
At the
or
time
on the
in.
basic, or the or
Hmm.
right, or the clave. But people can also dance to the melody.
Oh yeah.
And that this, of course, to be a judge, you have to have already had an expertise or a level of expertise in that. But a lot of the new dancers, they don't understand the different layers of music and how you can really geek out,
Yeah.
get nerdy about it. And so as a judge, that's interesting because you're looking to make sure they're, doing their hands right. They're doing it on time, but it might not be at the same timing as somebody else because they're dancing and interpreting it differently.
Yes, exactly.
So I bet I would just love to get some more of that knowledge right there. That's for sure. Steal that from you. So you have a philosophy of teaching or a philosophy of dance that you've developed over the last. You said you've been dancing. I think before we were talking for 8 years now.
Yeah, I've been dancing for 8 years now, and something, that philosophy that I think is really good is the never stop being a student type of philosophy, where no matter how good it is that we become, or even people telling us that, oh, you're such a good dancer, why don't you start teaching? Like, that sometimes pushes us to a point where we get comfortable, and we stop being the student. And I think even though the most professional dancers that I see now, like for me, the best ones that I see are still students. They're still humble enough to go take classes. They're still humble enough to accept critiques, and I think that's just a really good trait to have as a dancer, because you're always going to become better. There's always something to learn from someone. There's so much knowledge out there, where as a dancer, I don't think we're going to be able to know everything. There's so much knowledge out there that it's going to be really hard to know all the skills that there is out there, to become, let's say, the all-knowing dancer that just knows every single step, right? So I think it's really good that the variety of instructors that are out there. You can learn like from Sosa, you can learn from Adolfo, you can learn on one, you can learn on two, you can learn uh, Rueda, Cuban Rueda, Colombian style. There's so much styles out there that can make any dancer become better.
Right. So what have you been working on recently to improve yourself?
So recently, I just came back from Italy. I was just out in Italy with Marco Ferrigno, um, awesome roller now instructor out in Italy, who invited me out to go train with his professional team, Ancima, um, by Marco Ferrigno. And I was out there for 3 months. I was out there for 3 months just for training and learning how to learn his style, learning his techniques, learning dance his, what he calls it, mambo moderno. I think that's what he calls his style, mambo moderno. And it was a super awesome experience, because it felt really awesome being that student in the class again, and it's not that I started from zero, but having that challenge and that push to, like, yes, this is exactly what I needed to become better.
Well, it's also like, as instructors, we go there knowing what we're going to teach before we get there.
Yeah.
As a student, you don't necessarily know.
Exactly.
And you might be surprised on what you're corrected on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I want to ask, you mentioned the different styles. There's so many different styles of salsa. So is there a certain style that you dance and teach? And can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So what I mainly focus on dancing and teaching is Mambo On2. Mambo On2. Um, Something that I actually started being an on-one dancer when I first started. But over the years, I would see these showcases from Eddie Torres, from Adolfo Indacochea, all these really awesome on two dancers. When I was like, what is that? Because I'm trying to count their timing, but I can't count. I'm trying to count on one timing. I'm from the West Coast, so I'm from the West Coast. So we dance on. Not everybody dances on one, but on one was a little bit bigger back then,
Right.
on the West Coast. So, but you would see these dancers at the congresses, and I'm like, why? What's going on with the timing? I'm trying on 1 2 3 5 6, 1 2 3 5 6 7. So then I looked in more into it. I asked around, and they're like, "Yes, this is on to New York style. It's a different feel. You're dancing to the conga, the tumbao, right? The instruments, and it's a little bit more instrumental." And I was like, "Yeah, this makes sense. This makes sense." But first, I got to take some classes to understand it a little bit more. So I started learning more on two. I did travel with Adolfo Indacochea's studio back when he was living in Italy, Latin soul dancers, and I was actually there. I think it was like 3 4 years ago, where he was living out in Italy, and I did this, basically the same thing I did now, where I went to Italy with Marco, but I did this with Adolfo, where I was there for 3 months training in his studio.
So when you transitioned from on one to on two, how was that transition? I always ask that question for those of us who started on one and then learned on two as well.
Basically, forget the numbers that you learned before, and just redo it, rewire the brain. It really is a rewiring of the brain, because it's like you may have been counting 1 2 3 5 6 7 differently before, but change it up. You got to do it different now.
And so, yeah, it took me about 3 months just to practice confidently doing a cross body lead.
Uh-huh.
on two. So I'd get, okay, 5, 6, 7. Well, what?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there on the side of the line saying, now what?
It,
Uh,
it, and a good tip there is like it really is like listening for the conga. I mean, once you like take the numbers away, I mean, numbers do help, but like that transition, like you're saying, that transition period to understand why you're dancing on two, it really is listening for that conga, that gu gu pa ka gu gu pa
mhm.
ka. It really is kind of that. I think what helps more, what I found a lot of the people transitioning from on one understand it a little bit more, because sometimes it's like, oh, it's the same numbers though. It's the same numbers. What's different about it? And
And the footwork without
yeah,
numbers is 90% identical.
yeah, it really is. Yeah,
There's a few times when it's off, depending on the move you're doing but it's 90% identical. So just focus on the footwork, and then you just change the timing, because of course the timing's different when you're dancing to the congas versus just the count.
yeah.
But I always ask that because I tell people if it's best to learn on two first and transition to one. Just an opinion. It's easier, but most of us started on one and then fought that uphill battle to on two.
Yeah.
I started on two, so I'm
She's
glad about that. But I'm a new dancer, so tell me and other new dancers out there, what makes mambo mambo? What is
Ooh,
that?
That's a good
That,
question.
that's a
That's
really
not,
good.
we didn't, that wasn't on our list.
Are
No,
you
but that is
Are you gonna be teaching mambo style when you come
yes,
down
I
to
will
Oklahoma
be.
City?
Yeah, I will be teaching Mambo style with Mambo Shines. So Mambo is a style that, I mean, this goes back before salsa was even salsa
Right.
technically. Yeah. So Mambo being, let's say, the older brother, the older sibling of the dance. I mean, this is 19. I want to say 1950s, like back then with Perez Prado, Machito. I mean, like some of the first like artist dancers of back then. I mean, the style that we dance now, which is mambo, is a lot different to what they called mambo back then. I mean, what we do dance now, mambo on two style, is it was structured. It was a structured dance that now it became structured, that has been able to be taught through a wide range of studios. Um, from Eddie Torres, I mean, Eddie Torres coming up with a syllabus and everything, kind of making it more structured, where okay, now there's a way that everybody dances it. We can go to the club and dance with anybody, and it's a lot of fun, right? So
Right.
yeah, that is something that's awesome, and that I love about it. So and I'm excited to come down to Oklahoma City to teach a little bit of what I know with all you guys, and spread a little bit of my knowledge. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So are you going to be focusing on couple dancing or social dancing, or on styling? What can we expect?
Performance,
Yes.
Yes,
choreo.
yes. So
What our appetites?
no, so what we're going to be doing down in Oklahoma is we're going to be actually be teaching on two and with bachata. So it's going to be, I
Okay.
believe, I'm not sure if it's 6 hours. It might be 6 hours or 4 hours. I got to double check that. But with there, we're going to have a like in beginner level. So those that don't feel comfortable in the more advanced level could take and still learn. But we are going to be doing a little bit of solo stuff, as in shines, a little bit of footwork, and a little bit of partner work as well, that we can use in social dancing as well.
Awesome. So for bachata, is it bachata, central bachata, urban bachata? What are we
So
looking for?
what I like to do in my bachata lessons, I like to throw a little bit of everything, at least a little bit of everything. So I know sometimes it's like just one style bachata, right? And that's the workshop, and you get kind of one style of it. But it's also cool. Like when I'm dancing my social dances in bachata, I mean, it's cool to use everything that you know, right? Sometimes it's like a full dance of sensual bachata, right? Or a full dance of traditional bachata. But throwing a little bit of a turn patterns in there is going to be good. We're going to be throwing a little bit of footwork that we can use with our partners, and a little bit of sensual as well.
Today's podcast episode is sponsored by Annabel Valencia Photography. It's me, Annabel Valencia. Did you know that I am a photographer? I've been photographing for over 20 years. I've recently moved from Lawton, Oklahoma to Oklahoma City, and I have a beautiful photography studio inside of International Dance Studio. So if you are looking for photos to reconnect you with your family and show all the love you feel for each other, give me a call. Or if you're a business owner and you are looking for photos to connect you with your audience on a deeper level, give me a call at 405-985-6805. That's Annabel Valencia Photography in Oklahoma City.
I have a selfish question to ask. I have a son. He's 10. He's just now getting into ballroom dancing, not really social dancing,
Okay.
but he's growing up watching me dance, watching his sister dance, and we're not great performers or anything, but he was watching some of your videos this morning, and he's really, I think, drawn to the performance aspect uh, of dance. But what advice would you have for a young dancer like him? I don't remember if you told us what age you started dancing. I mean, as a kid,
Hmm.
I don't remember. Did you say you were kind of uninterested or
Yeah.
how that was? But what kind of advice would you have for somebody really young?
11 years old.
Oh, he's 11. He just turned
So,
11.
so that is a really good point that you bring up. As I mean, where you're saying he watches videos, that's something I did when I wasn't at what's it called? Let's say these congresses or festivals where I was able to experience these things. I would come home and the only thing I could do was watch these videos, look it up on YouTube, right? Salsa performances, bachata performances, social dancing videos, and that would be just like if I was at the congresses because it would give me the same inspiration. I mean, I was not seeing these things on a weekly basis, like going to congresses every single weekend. I mean, I wish I
Yeah.
was. I wish I was.
Expensive.
Exactly. So what's it called? I was coming home and watching these performances. And another thing you could do also is I think that could help kind of draw more inspiration is when um, there's shows in town. I mean, I know the shows are late. He's only 11. I don't know how late he's out,
We
but
drag him to the socials.
yeah,
We
okay.
really don't drag him. He does like to go, but about midnight, he's ready to go home.
Yeah. Is yeah, watching these shows live as well, which is cool because you feel the energy in the in that room. You feel the energy in the room. You feel the energy from the performer, from the dancers, which is really cool.
Just be inspired.
Oh
So,
yeah.
what has been your greatest accomplishment? The thing you're most proud of, you worked hardest for?
So the biggest accomplishment for me myself, I think, was this past year at the 2022 San Francisco um, SBK. We did a performance number with 80 students. I believe it
80?
was 80. I believe it was 80. 80 students. Um, so
Wow.
the reason why that's my biggest accomplishment is because we were able, for me as a director, we were able to inspire 80 students not only to perform but to pursue their passion in terms of dance. In terms of dance. So so I think that was a huge accomplishment because getting 80 students together, practicing and all this, I mean, it was a lot of work, but to see it come to life, it was awesome. It kind of pushed me to want to do it more because we have these 80 students that not only love dancing, but believe in us as instructors and directors.
I was kind of expecting it to be one of his awards, one of his
No,
competitions,
I
but it's
wasn't.
not.
I
It's the
wasn't expecting
inspiration.
that.
It's his action of inspiring students.
Yeah.
That's all right. I like that. So yeah,
You want to ask him a
inspiring. Yeah.
question?
Well, I'm gonna go move right along to what has been one of your greatest challenges as a dancer,
Okay.
performer, instructor, choreographer, director, producer, person.
That's a good question though. Uh, so I think my greatest challenges has been more of the being more, I think, creative, the creative process in choreographing. That has always been a challenge for me because um, before I actually backtrack a little bit, before I became a dancer, I was actually a full-time boxer, as in a fighter. I was a
Okay.
fighter. I was a fighter for 10 years before I had started dancing. And I so before then it was, I mean, I wasn't into dancing at that point. My brain was wired a different way in terms of how I work compared to now. So now it's like we create, the other one is we kind of don't create, we kind of are, what is it? Destroying, right?
Right, right.
Kind of destroy basically. So kind of rewiring the brain was a little harder because now instead of just doing, do, we have to sit down, create create choreography, listen to the music, um, and just be a little bit more creative, express a little bit more. That has been a little bit of a harder part in when I first started dancing in terms of choreographing to do.
Okay.
I'm fascinated by choreography, and I wish I could do that. But what makes a good choreographer?
A good choreographer, I think, is learning how the flow of a choreo works. Because making a choreo, I think you can put steps together. You can, I think most people can, right, make their own steps, put it all together. But how does it flow from the beginning to the end, right? Sometimes it can be, let's say, a high. It's just a high the whole time from the beginning to the end of a choreo, or does it have highs and lows? Kind of the dynamic. The dynamic is, I think, what makes a really good choreo, and those choreos that you're left like mouth open, right? Like, whoa, what did I just see?
Yeah.
Type of thing. And that dynamic, I think, is a good thing to have in the choreographies.
Oh, okay. So what I'm hearing you saying, tell me if I'm right. So a good choreo would maybe take the audience on a journey, like
Co-
maybe an
oh yeah,
emotional journey.
an emotional journey, like a roller coaster. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would take a lot. That would take talent. I mean, like you said, you could put steps together, but to make it into a story or a journey or a like a crescendo or a finale,
Well,
that would take work.
I tell people that dance is a combination of three arts, and people could add more to it, but body movement, uh, poetry, if there's lyrics to the song, and music. You have to could really understand those three arts and then bring it together in
Oh yeah.
there. And when you're talking about choreography, you're talking about not just something you can do and you hear, but teaching others if you're trying to choreograph for a team,
Um.
others to hear. And oh, by the way, what if you have different parts of different people doing different stuff in the choreography to the same song? That's where I start getting my wires crossed. Like, okay,
It's like the symphony people that
directors.
direct the whole orchestra. How do they do that? I don't know.
Yeah.
So at your dance studio, what do you have a dance team there? Or do y'all concentrate on salsa and bachata? Or how is that?
Yeah, we have multiple dance teams ranging from dancers that are barely starting to go into like the performance aspect of dancing. So beginner teams into intermediate teams to advanced teams. So I think right now we're about 8 teams, maybe seven teams from bachata and salsa. Um, that we're preparing for a couple congresses that are coming up. We have the Vegas Congress coming up at the end of this month, and then there's the Orlando Congress that's happening at the beginning of July. So yeah, just getting ready, prepping these teams with to get ready for performing.
That's a lot of work there, and trying to get it's like herding cats, trying to get everybody to commit. That's like, oh, I want to train for
That's
that.
not what he said, Ray.
No, I'm saying it's all about. I was adding. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. You're right, dear. I was saying it's like herding cats when you have all those different people.
I'm sure it's a lot of hard work, like you said. Having 8 performance teams. Do you have any kids, or is it all adults? What about old people like me? Yeah, like
Oh
Ray,
no,
actually.
no, we have, yeah, we so kind of thing that we have our dance academy is we don't restrict age. We really don't try to restrict age because I mean, dancing, if you have the passion for it and you have the drive, I think everybody deserves that opportunity to be on a dance team. Um, whether, let's say, it's at their level or maybe they want a challenge, we offer those opportunities. And I think everybody deserves those opportunities if they're willing to work for them.
Okay, so Ray always loves to ask, what makes a good student, right? Is that one of the questions he
Yeah.
loves? Would you say, well, what makes a good student? And as a general question, but would you say that joining a performance team makes a student a better student, or is there a certain type of personality that does well in performance team versus another type that won't do well?
Yeah. So I think it's not like a general rule that I say you would have to become better. You need to be on a performance because I've seen amazing dancers that are just strictly social dancers, and they're amazing dancers. Or I'm like, man, I'm pretty sure this guy was on a stage, he'd kill it. But
Yeah.
there's just the personal preference to not be on a stage. But I've also seen dancers who said, no, I'm never going to perform. I'm never going to do this, never going to do this. Go on a performance team, try it out just to try it out. And they end up liking it a lot and staying on the performance team and enjoy performing. So it really, I think, just does come down to a student's preference on what it is that they want to focus on. But whatever it is that focus is on, I think if that student is dedicated, they will become, let's say, a better dancer.
Dedication.
Commitment, dedication.
Yeah, commitment. Yeah, dedication, commitment, the hard work. And I think above all, I think being humble through it all. Being humble through it all is also a really good trait.
Yeah, I think being humble makes you, what's the word? Nice to be around. Other people will enjoy being around you more.
Yeah, and this is a social community. It's a social community, so I think that's an important thing to have as well.
Yeah.
Well, we are excited to meet you in person. A lot of my guests I've talked to, but in this case, we never actually met. But I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. I'm looking forward to taking your class.
Are we going to be out of town July 21st and 22nd? We might be out of town. The only way we're going to miss your workshop is if we're traveling then.
We're doing a workshop.
Yeah.
But
if I'm not there, and I think we might be out of town, but my daughter will be there, I'm sure.
Yeah,
yes. So
yes, we are out of town.
No.
Yeah, we're gonna miss it. We're gonna miss it.
But it's a good. We can't miss it because my sister is a chaplain at a group home for children who are waiting to go into foster care, and they're having an arts week. And Annabel, who is an accomplished and educated, trained photographer and dancer, and myself, we're going to go there on Arts Week and give classes to this kids at this group home. And so we will not miss that. And that's going to be we will meet each other again. We have a lot of, have a lot of mutual friends. One of my mentors is Edie, the salsa freak. I'm sure you've heard of her. And, Lawrence Garcia down in Phoenix.
Cool guy.
I know that. We'll meet each other sometime once I get.
We'll cross paths sometime soon.
As soon as I get a chance to get back into the I just retired from the Army, so I haven't been doing any not workshops, but traveling for dance recently. But once we get there, we'll get out there and we'll get up with you.
Yeah. So to close, can you just tell everybody about the workshop coming up in Oklahoma City and, just give us all the details.
Yeah. So the OKC Summer Bachata Salsa Weekender is coming up July 21st and 22nd. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be having all levels of dance. So it's open to everyone from beginner to advanced levels. So we're going to be teaching salsa, bachata, going over some shines and partner work that will be that you can use in social dancing, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope to see everyone there. It's going to be a really good time.
We're looking forward to it. Thanks so much for meeting us here. We're great talking to you. Great getting to know you.
Oh yeah, and if people want to find you on social media, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so Bryant Ayala, I believe, is my Instagram handle, and then for Facebook, Bryant Ayala.
All right.
And of course, you can find them more at website www.lionsdanceacademy.com out in Oregon. And so great to meet you. We're going to see you all next time with our next guest to be announced. And next time you see us, we will be husband and wife.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Congratulations, guys.
Hey,
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. Have a great day, everybody, and keep on dancing.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this podcast episode of Ray Salsa. Whatever platform you're listening to or watching us, go ahead and leave a comment. We want to know what was your biggest takeaway. And also send us your questions, suggestions. Send us a message. We want to hear from you. You can also email at rayray@raysalsa.com. Let us know what you think.